The bar on Station 9 was a forgotten place floating at the edge of the galaxy. It was old, rusty, and filled with shadows. No laws ruled here. Only strength did. The bar called Grathok's Flame was the heart of it. Aliens from all over the galaxy came here to drink, gamble, and sometimes fight. One quiet evening, the bar was busy. Smoke filled the air. Loud alien music echoed through the metal walls. A tall green alien shoved another across the floor. The crowd laughed. It was normal. Weakness was punished here. No one cared. Then the door opened with a soft hiss. A human stepped inside. He was alone. Average height, wearing a simple black jacket. His eyes were calm. He looked around once, then walked slowly to the bar. The music didn't stop, but the air changed. Aliens noticed him. Not many humans came here, and none came alone. But this one didn't look scared. The bartender, a red-skinned alien with 4 eyes, watched carefully. "Drink?" he asked in a rough voice. The human didn't answer. He sat down quietly. His hands rested on the table. Calm, still. Across the bar, the same green alien, big, heavy, with 4 arms, was pushing another small creature again. This time, it was a fragile, bird-like alien. It cried out in pain. No one helped. The crowd only watched, but the human stood up. He walked toward them, slowly, quietly. The green alien turned and laughed. "What's this? A human? Are you lost, little one?" The human said nothing. He looked at the bird creature on the ground, then back at the giant. "Leave," the human said. His voice was soft but clear. The room went silent. Everyone froze. Who was this human to give orders here? The alien laughed again, louder this time. "You talk big for something so small." He moved closer, towering over the human. Then it happened. Fast. Too fast for eyes to follow. One punch, that's all. A sharp sound filled the air, like thunder cracking in a metal tunnel. The green alien flew back, slammed into a metal wall, and didn't move. Silence. No one spoke. No one moved. The music had stopped. The lights flickered. The bird-like creature crawled away, shocked. The human turned, walked back to his seat, sat down, as if nothing happened. The bartender blinked his 4 eyes. "Who are you?" he whispered. The human looked up. "Just someone who doesn't like bullies." And then he drank his water. Across the station, security cameras recorded everything. Every frame, the punch, the speed, the silence after. Within hours, the footage spread across black market networks, alien warlords, pirate kings, secret councils. All watched the moment. One question echoed in dark rooms and bright halls. Who is that human? But no one had the answer. All they knew was, one punch changed everything. One punch echoes. The silence after the punch was louder than the bar's chaos had ever been. The alien with green scales, twice the human size, lay motionless on the ground. His companions, still holding mugs and plates, froze in place. No one blinked. No one spoke. The bartender, a wiry creature with 6 arms, slowly ducked under the counter. Not out of fear for the human, but because he'd seen what came next in other systems. The human, still standing, calmly placed the empty glass on the counter and looked around. "I warned him," he said quietly. Just 3 words. But those words cut through every mind in the room like a plasma blade. From a dark corner, a small alien with a translator chip whispered. He moved like a shadow. No build-up, no charge-up, just impact. An information broker near the door quickly tapped on his wrist console. The footage was already spreading across systems. Aliens across the outer rim were watching, rewinding, zooming in. The punch had done more than knock someone out. It shattered assumptions. Rumors exploded across channels. They don't even need weapons. That was a warning punch. What if humans don't have limits? The fallen alien groaned. Security entered the bar. But instead of arresting the human, they checked the alien first. The human had moved back to his stool and was calmly sipping water now. "Sir," a guard said nervously, "we'll review the tapes." The human nodded. "You'll see," he started, but the officers didn't care about that anymore. They'd seen the movement, so had the station AI. The punch wasn't illegal. It was terrifying. Hours later, on a diplomatic cruiser orbiting the station, high-ranking alien commanders met in haste. "We need to understand their limits," one said. "No," said another, voice low. "We need to understand why we never saw this coming." Back in the bar, a whisper began to spread among travelers and crew. "Did you hear?" someone said. "One punch, just one, and the galaxy changed." Whispers across the stars, the footage of the bar punch had now reached 100 worlds. It played on dark markets, in security briefings, and even in military academies. The slow-motion clip, one human, one punch, had no fancy weapons, no fancy effects. Just raw, controlled power. And that's what terrified them. On Valek Prime, a council of war-born species watched in silence. Their race had conquered 6 systems, with brute force and claw, but even they could feel it. Something had shifted. "He didn't show fear," one commander said, his armored tail twitching. "Even our young warriors hesitate before battle." Another alien spoke, voice filled with disbelief. This was in a bar, no armor, no backup, and yet, he fought like it meant everything. Across the galaxy, bounty hunters began removing humans from their target lists. Mercenaries refused contracts involving Earthborn soldiers. Word spread that a new directive was forming in the deep black channels of the Galactic Senate. Avoid provocation, avoid eye contact, do not challenge, a human alone. Back on Station 9, the human man had already left. He took no fame, no money. He just vanished into the docking bay and left with a freighter crew heading for the rim sectors. But the fear stayed behind. In a back room of a shady weapons dealer's shop, an alien smuggler pulled his gang aside. "I don't care what deal." "We had. If a human's involved, we walk. That's not bravery, that's survival." Meanwhile, the fallen alien in the bar recovered. He refused to speak to anyone. But one thing became clear from the medical scans: they found no sign of tech, no drugs, no implants in the human. It was pure natural strength. Controlled, focused, cold. Some started calling him the Shadow Fist. Others said, "He's not a fighter. He's a warning." No one knew his name. No one knew where he went. But everyone knew one thing now, burned deep in memory across species. Never challenge a human unless you want the galaxy to remember your fall. The hunters backed down. The hunt was called off. 3 elite bounty guilds, known across the galaxy for never quitting a target, had one thing in common that week. Each had quietly erased a human from their active lists. No announcements, no formal drops, just silent retreats. In the shadowy rings of the Ardon Nebula, a fleet of mercenaries waited near a derelict station. Their mission was simple: ambush a freighter suspected of harboring a Terran operative. They were armed to the teeth, rail cannons, plasma nets, ion disruptors, everything legal, and some things not. But when the freighter docked, only one human stepped out. No armor, no visible weapon, just a small duffel bag and calm eyes. The mercenary captain looked at his crew. "This is the one?" A scout nodded. "Facial match. It's him, the one from Station 9. The captain hesitated, then slowly powered down his rifle. "Back away, right now." "But sir," one crewman protested. "Back, away." The mercenaries watched from the shadows as the human walked calmly into the station. He didn't even glance around. He wasn't worried. That scared them more than anything. News traveled faster than light in the black channels. Mercenaries in deep space began changing routes when Earth signatures appeared on scanners. Even pirates started to offer peace signals before approaching human ships. One alien commander said it best during a Security Council session: You can fight strength. You can outsmart tactics. But how do you fight someone who doesn't flinch? Who doesn't speak threats because he knows he doesn't need to? The galaxy didn't know the human's name, but they remembered the silence before the punch, the calm before chaos. And so, the fear spread not from war, but from restraint, from a man who could destroy, but chose not to. The hunters had weapons. The human had a reason, and that made all the difference. The Grand Council Hall was never quiet. But today, it felt like the air itself was afraid to move. Leaders from 60 different species sat in a glowing, circular chamber deep within the space fortress of Altharian Prime. Some were old and wise, others young and sharp. All of them had one thing in common today: concern about one human. The central speaker, a tall creature with silver-blue skin and 6 glowing eyes, raised a hand. "We are not here to debate," he said. "We are here because the galaxy has changed." Screens floated mid-air, showing reports from various systems. The bar fight on Station 9. The silent mercenary withdrawals. Entire pirate bands vanishing after intercepting a human transport. One report showed blurry footage of a single human standing still while dozens of trained alien fighters surrounded him, only to walk away, weapons lowered. The human did not speak, the silver-blue alien said. He did not threaten, he simply looked at them. A soft whisper traveled across the chamber. Another alien with metallic plates over its body stood. "What are we dealing with? A weapon? A soldier?" "No," replied a small, insect-like ambassador. "We are dealing with something worse. A being who knows exactly how dangerous he is and doesn't need to prove it." The room fell into silence again. Then the High Chancellor asked a chilling question. "If one human can cause this much fear, what happens if many rise?" A murmur of panic rippled through the crowd. "Then we must act," barked a reptilian warlord. "Capture him. Question him. Stop this. Spread." But an older alien, one with wrinkled violet skin and eyes that had seen centuries, slowly shook his head. "No. You do not understand humans," he whispered. "Force will only bring the storm." He paused, then said something that made even the warlord go silent. "Perhaps this human is a warning. From Earth itself. A quiet message." The central speaker leaned forward. "What kind of message?" "That Earth is watching," the elder replied. "And if we make the wrong move, it will remember." The council moved to a vote. Option A: confront the human, demand answers. Option B: leave him alone. Pretend nothing happened. When the vote finished, the results shocked many. 55 out of 60 chose option B. Not because they were weak, but because they were smart. The meeting ended with no official report. The decision was buried under layers of silence. The galaxy would not know what was decided, but across systems one phrase began to appear in hidden messages, backroom meetings, and secret war room chats. "Do not test Earth. Not again." And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, spies began, watching humans more carefully, not to attack, but to learn. The predator had changed. Now, it was wearing a calm smile and walking in plain sight. Far from the eyes of the Grand Council, whispers moved like shadows through the dark corners of the galaxy. Station 9, the place where it all began, was no longer just a refueling stop. Now it was a legend, a myth in the making. Every traveler, pirate, merchant, and soldier who passed through spoke of the human who silenced a war with one punch. But the truth was worse. A team of bounty hunters arrived at Station 9 days after the fight. They were elite, hired by a silent empire that feared what Earth might become. Their mission: track the human, capture him alive. They expected broken bottles, bloodstains, maybe a few nervous witnesses. What they found was silence. The bar was intact, spotless, as if nothing had happened, except one thing: the bartender. He stood behind the counter, drying a clean glass that didn't need drying. His hands shook, just a little, but his voice was steady when he saw the hunters. You're too late, he said. The bounty leader, a sharp-eyed insectoid with a plasma rifle, stepped forward. Tell us where he went. The bartender smiled. You don't find him, he said. He finds you. Before they could respond, every light in the bar flickered. Outside, the stars dimmed. And then, on every screen in the bar, a symbol appeared. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was unknown. But all 6 bounty hunters froze. Their training kicked in. Eyes scanned the exits. Weapons raised. Then, static. A calm voice came through the speakers. No image, just a voice. Stop hunting, or be hunted. Every hunter looked at the bartender, but he was gone. Vanished into the back. Something cold crept into the bounty leader's spine. He clicked off his comms and whispered, "Fall back." They left without firing a shot. Hours later, the story spread again, this time faster. The human doesn't fight. He warns. Systems near the outer rim began shutting off long-range scans. Patrol ships avoided Terran vessels. Even pirate. Clans started refusing jobs against human transports, but not everyone believed. A young alien prince from a warrior race laughed at the tales. "One punch? That's a joke," he said. "I want proof." He got it because later that week, while walking through a starport, he saw a man sitting alone. Black coat, calm eyes, no weapon in sight. The prince smirked and walked closer. "You're the ghost. Everyone fears?" The man looked up slowly. Said nothing. The prince reached for his sidearm, but his hand froze. He didn't know why. His body wouldn't move. His breath slowed. His heartbeat echoed in his ears like war drums. The man still hadn't spoken. The prince turned and walked away, his own legs betraying his pride. He never spoke of it again. And from that moment, a new warning began to spread. One no one dared. Ignore. If you see him, don't speak, don't stare, just leave. But there was one place left where silence didn't rule. Earth and back home. Someone had just activated an old war beacon. It pulsed once, then again, and with it, ancient systems woke. Buried programs lit up. Long-forgotten fleets, hidden in deep space vaults, stirred. Because if the galaxy feared one human, they weren't ready for what was coming next. The galaxy thought it had seen the worst. One man, one punch, one message. But what they didn't understand was this. He wasn't alone. Back on Earth, in a mountain sealed with old steel and newer silence, a deep vault opened after centuries. Dust rose, lights flickered alive. A voice, buried in digital stone, echoed through the empty chamber. Code Prime. Ghost Protocol. All shadows rise. Across the stars, hundreds of sleeper ships lit up. Not battleships, ghost ships. Black hulls with no name, no flags, no visible weapons. But every AI system in the nearby sectors screamed when they scanned them. They were human, and worse, they were designed for only one mission: balance the odds no matter how. Back at Station 9, the bartender returned. But not as a bartender. He wore no uniform, no medals, just black armor with a silver stripe across the chest. He entered the same bar where the story began, and when he spoke, his voice was calm, but final. "It's time," he said. No one asked what he meant, because outside in the station's orbit, 7 unknown ships had just uncloaked. One bore scars that didn't match any known war. Another had writing on the side, but in no language that had ever been translated. The bartender turned to the old jukebox in the corner, tapped it once. The lights dimmed. Then he said, "They think he's the monster." He smiled slightly. "But they haven't met us." On a planet across the galaxy, a war general of a powerful alien empire watched the footage of Station 9's camera feed. He saw the ships, heard the message, then his advisors panicked. "Who are they? We have no record." "Sir, one of the ships just jammed our entire defense grid, without even firing." The general stood frozen. He remembered something. An old forbidden scroll locked in his people's temple vault. A prophecy. "When the ghost walks among stars and the 7 rise, bow your heads, for they are not soldiers. They are the reckoning." The screen turned to static. The entire command center went dark. Meanwhile, in deep space, the man, the one who threw the punch, stood aboard a quiet deck of a ship not listed in any galactic registry. He looked out into the stars, his eyes calm. Behind him stood 7 figures, each different, each human, each marked with the insignia of an era no one remembered. They were the lost, the banished, the forgotten. But now they were awake. "We didn't want war," the man said quietly. "But we'll finish it." Suddenly, in every star system, old warnings blinked red. Human signals flooded restricted frequencies. But there were no demands, just a single repeating code. Protocol, retribution. Aliens fled borders. Empires called emergency meetings. Pirates deleted. Old bounty contracts, and yet the humans never attacked, they just appeared. On prison worlds, they freed broken allies. On forgotten colonies, they delivered weapons older than the stars. On war-torn planets, they restored order without speaking. And everywhere they went, the same words followed. The galaxy feared one man, but never asked who trained him. Back on Earth, an old woman looked to the sky from a quiet hill. A boy beside her asked, "Grandma, are the stars safe now?" She smiled faintly. "No, child," she whispered. "They finally remember who we are." The wind carried her words to the stars, and far away, in the darkness, the ghost ships moved, silent, swift, unstoppable, because in the end, the punch was never the story, it was only the signal, and now, the reckoning had begun.